Hello and a very warm welcome to Bharata First. You're watching Frank Talk with me, Frank Rausen Pereira. First, let me inform you about Bharata First Knowledge Center, an initiative that will help each one of you in your competitive exams and transform the way you learn. We have started international relations and Indian art and culture classes, and they have had a phenomenal response. Even short courses have begun and they are going on in full swing. You too can be a part of this incredible journey. Go to our website, kc.bharatafirst.com, for more details and register now. The introductory offer ends on the 31st of July. Make full use of it. Since you're here, I would like to thank you for your continued support. For those of you who haven't already subscribed, please like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and then all notifications. Do subscribe to our newsletter to get some incisive content. The Bharata First team runs a big picture quiz. Please participate by going through the description in big picture videos. Do contribute to keep our content alive if you like it. The links are in the description of this video. All this information, along with some must-see recommendations, are in the description. Please go through it. Well, the Indian armed forces have progressed a great deal over the years, and so has the art of warfare. To talk about these two aspects, I have with me on the program Major General P.K. Sehgal, retired, who is a veteran of the Indian Armed Forces and a leading expert in electronic warfare. He has served with the Indian Armed Forces for 41 years and has served in the 1962, 65, 71, and 1999 wars, and has involved, or rather has been involved, in insurgency and anti-insurgency operations for close to 25 years. It is a pleasure to welcome on Frank Talk Mr. P.K. Sehgal. General, welcome to Bharata First.
Thank you very much, Frank. It's been a pleasure being with you on this program.
General, like I already have mentioned in the introduction of the program, warfare as we know it has changed over the years, and so has the Indian armed forces also evolved over the years. For someone who's been in the system for over 4 decades, how would you look back at how the armed forces have evolved over the years?
Very interesting question, very close to my heart. Today, the Indian armed forces are amongst the most venerated, respected, regarded armed forces in the world. If you look at Indian history, for full 1000 years before independence, we had suffered the ignominy of defeat, defeat, and defeat. Our armed forces were weak and we were roundly beaten each and every time. Marauders of various varieties came from the Hindu Kush and got the better of us. Thereafter, the Mughals came and got the better of us. Then, anybody who came from the seafront, whether it was the Dutch, the Portuguese, the French, or the British, got the better of us. Post independence, we fought 5 wars. One war in 1962 against China and 4 against Pakistan. The war against China was not lost because of the underperformance on the part of the armed forces, but it was a bureaucratic and a political, I'll say, mismanagement or harakiri of the ultimate variety. 4 wars that we fought against Pakistan, Pakistan still continues to remain bewildered, shocked, and is licking its wounds. In 1965 war, Pakistan was better equipped than us. They had the latest of the aircraft in terms of starfighters, and they had the Patton tanks, which were amongst the best tanks at that point of time. And they had an artillery which was far superior to the artillery that we had. Their range was 22 kilometers. Our maximum range was only 11 kilometers. So in other words, we were out and outflown and etc. etc. That notwithstanding, with the Shermans, the Stuarts, and the Centurions of the Second World War, right, and with the vampires, Bristias, Hunters, and Canberras, once again of the World War II vintage variety, and the artillery, which I said we were both outgunned in terms of range and in terms of quantum, we bet him. It is primarily because the leadership on our side was superior, the cause for which we were fighting was superior, men behind the machine had greater morale and a greater motivation as against the Pakis. And that is the reason that they were roundly defeated. When you look at the 71 war, despite the advantage that they had of a preemptive strike against 12 of our leading airfields, this was one war which ended in 14 days. In 14 days, Indian Army created a new nation, and 93,000 Pakistani soldiers surrendered to the Indian Army. In the annals of warfare, never before a nation had been created, a new nation had been created in 14 days, and never had a surrender of this variety taken place after the Second World War, where 93,000 soldiers surrendered despite the fact that they had a wherewithal for 6 months. They could have gone on fighting for 6 months. Notwithstanding that, they still got beaten by us. When you come down to the Kargil war, in which I served in that area for almost 4 years, and I knew the area better than the palm of my hand. I was a helicopter unit commander at that point of in that area. The Pakistanis had all the advantage. The weather was horrendous. The terrain was tortuous. The lower slopes were 30 degrees, and as you went up towards the Tiger Hill and Tololing, the slopes went on to 65 and 70 degrees. The temperature was between minus 10 degrees and minus 20 degrees. Wind speeds were howling at 30 to 40 knots. In terms of kilometers, it's well close to 70 to 80 kilometers. The wind chill effect was devastating. अगर आपने नंगे हाथ से, bare हाथ से, if you touched a rock or a metal, what you pulled back was the bare bones. The skin was lost forever. That notwithstanding, the Indian Army managed to uproot the enemy and restore the prestige of the Indian nation. I dare say even Americans could not have dislodged the Pakis without use of nuclear weapons, mini nukes, or chemical weapons or biological weapons. He was very well entrenched, and he had almost 6 months to prepare himself. And unfortunately, in terms of surprise, he had completely surprised and outwitted us. Initially, we thought it was only a platoon strength in a certain area, but later on we found that he was spread over an area of almost 250 kilometers, and the number of troops that he had was more than a brigade strength, more than 5,000, and very well entrenched. And unfortunately for us, for full 6 months, the troops kept coming down to the road that was connecting Srinagar to Ladakh, and used our road and our buses, etc., to go to Srinagar, buy cement, and take it back there. When he carried out the attack on the terrorist attack at Pulwama, he responded by an airstrike at Balakot. In fact, the world stood absolutely bewildered at what the Indian Air Force was able to display and carry out. Why? Because after the Pulwama, when we lost about 40 people, our Prime Minister had openly stated that we are going to carry out a retribution, a very meaningful retribution very shortly. As a consequence, Pakistan deployed its entire armed forces as far as Jammu and Kashmir was concerned. His air defense resources, radars and missiles were in position. His aircraft were on a 5 minutes runway readiness. So, in other words, they were absolutely prepared for a counter strike by India. But he was not aware whether it was going to be an air force strike or whether it's going to be an army led operation or is it going to be some naval operation. And we went deep inside. We did not strike any element of his in POK, but we went into the Fatah area. But Balakot is in Fatah area, and almost about 20 of our aircraft went in, came back without suffering any loss whatsoever. Prior to that, after we lost about 19 men in Uri, the Indian Army carried out a surgical strike. And after the Second World War, only there are three nations which had shown the capability of doing a surgical strike. America, which has undertaken several strikes, mostly through long-range cruise missiles or drones. The other surgical strikes, the first surgical strike attempted by them was in 1960 by then President John F. Kennedy, called Operation Bay of Pigs in Cuba. And unfortunately for America, its size notwithstanding, the strength of its forces notwithstanding, they were vanquished. This was one of the reasons that led to the assassination of JFK. Thereafter, if you remember, when Jimmy Carter was the president, Iran had taken several hostages, and a surgical mission was launched to rescue those hostages. It ended in a catastrophe. As a result, Jimmy Carter could not win the second term. Then George Bush Jr. also wanted to carry out a surgical strike in Somalia. You may have seen the movie called Black Hawk Down. And once again, what the Americans suffered was a licking. And from that day, the Americans have never dared to go into Africa ever again. Then when Obama came, the only successful strike by the Americans was taking out of Bin Laden, who was housed in Abbottabad and was being sheltered by the Pakistani army. The entire operation lasted about 30, and then the other nation who carried out, and there was a huge amount of asymmetry between the American armed forces and the Pakistani armed forces. Americans could have completely made a mincemeat of Pakistan had Pakistan wanted to react. Then there were two surgical strikes carried out by Israel, one in Uganda and secondly against the nuclear establishment at Osirak. Both were successful. In all these three cases, where the others had gone in, the total time that they spent in enemy territory was 20 to 30 minutes, and there was a mega military asymmetry between Israel and the contenders Uganda and Iraq, and between America and Pakistan. In our case, there is not that sort of an asymmetry. Both Pakistan and
Right.
India are nuclear nations, and the force ratios today is not very much. In the 71 war, we had a much superior force ratio, but today is much less. Particularly when you come to the Air Force, it's just about 1.2 to 1.3 to 1. That point of time, we had almost 2.7 to 2.8 versus 1 on a side. In our case, when
Sure.
undertook the surgical strike, instead of going at one place, we went to 5 different locations, spread over a distance of about 250 kilometers, located in thick jungles and in tortuous terrain. We stayed in the enemy territory between 2 to 5 hours, and all the men who went in 100% came back safely. Pakistan had no inkling of what was happening. Our own DGMO at around 4:30 in the morning called up the DGMO of Pakistan and said, "We've given you a shoe beating, but we've done with it. And as far as India is concerned, we have given you the punishment that you deserve." Unfortunately
So
for us, while the world acknowledged the capability and the professionalism and the growing might of the Indian Army, there were several political parties within the country and several political leaders whose name I do not wish to, because the entire country knows who they are. They started asking for proof. They said such a surgical strike has never happened. And they kept on saying that while they were in power, they carried out several amount of surgical strikes. Well, I was in the Indian Army for 41 years. Before Uri, Indian Army had undertaken no surgical strike. What we had done was only, artillery barrages, etc. That is different from a surgical strike. When you go into an enemy territory, stay there for number of. So, in other words, the Indian Army over a period of time has evolved very well, and we are now considered as one of the most professional armies.
about modern warfare, and is that a segment where we are lagging behind? You spoke of technology, you spoke of how China is trying to use modern day technology as well. Can bravado and bravery work against superior technology?
Frankly speaking, if you look at the Indian history, why did we lose all those wars over 100 years or 1,000 years? Babur brought the Barood for the first time, and technologically we were outwitted. When Alexander came, he used certain techniques and certain tactics that outwitted us. And that उस समय तक frontal wars होती थी. He suddenly, crossed the river Jhelum from a flank and attacked us from the flank and behind. So we were not accustomed to those sorts of techniques and technologies. Technology may, I'll start with the biggest advantage that China has over us today is the cyber warfare capability. China is in a position to create a huge amount of chaos within the country before the first bullet is fired. They can play havoc with your financial system, with your transportation system, railway transportation system, with your water system, with your electricity distribution system. Even during the Commonwealth Games, when Sheila Dikshit was the Chief Minister of Delhi, they carried out 3,000 attacks. उनकी कोशिश थी कि जो आपके टाइमिंग मैकेनिज्म है उनको जैम कर दिया जाए, so that India suffers a major global humiliation and embarrassment. All those attacks were totally negated and the Chinese did not succeed. उसके बावजूद today अगर आप देखो दुनिया की top 200 IT companies, in each of these companies you have either the president or the vice president or the top executives from the Indians. हमारे देश के यूथ में बड़ा दम है, बड़ी knowledge है, बड़ी capability है. China has not been able to do to us what they be. If you read in the 1 week back, the Russians carried out a hacking of 2,000 American IT companies at one go. They have been attempting to do so. In fact, we had a power outage in Mumbai a couple of months back. That was the first successful attack by the Chinese. Thereafter, we are in a position, but we are not in a position to carry out similar attacks on them. अभी तक हमारे पास जो technology है और capability is a defensive capability. We must be able to convince the Chinese and the Pakistanis that if they resort to this sort of a warfare, we can do enormous damage to them, which we are not in a position to do so now. All the leading armies in the world today have a cyber and space command. Kargil war के बाद में वो जो group of ministers बैठे थे, they had said कि it is now high time that a CDS comes into second, being second theaterization comes into third, that there is a overall commander to ensure the safety of your sea line. You got 7,500 kilometers of coastline. You got 6,000 islands. There should, and there you got 10 to 11 states which are on the coast. The information sharing, etc., is very weak. Intelligence sharing is, and gathering is very weak. Information being power, they hold it and do not pass it on to those who need to act. Those are 1999 की suggestions थी. And also there was a suggestion to create a cyber and a space command. Nothing worked on any of these fronts till the present government came in. CDS बना लिया है, theaterization की कोशिश की जा रही है. Only yesterday they've taken a decision to now have a single commander from the Navy, a vice admiral from the Navy, who will be responsible for coordinating the safety of and security of the entire coastline of India and the island territories as far as the naval, mischief from the naval side is concerned, from the sea side is concerned. But जहाँ तक space and cyber command है, we created cyber spells and space cells. They are not okay because the next war is going to be cyber centric. It is going to be artificial centric. It is going to be enormous use of robots like you have got drones, etc. And it will be a completely net centric warfare. इसमें अभी तक हम उतने काबिल नहीं है जितने हैं. Why so? Because our bureaucracy kept telling the powers that be that China को we will be able to handle China diplomatically. हमारा दुश्मन पाकिस्तान है. तो आप अगर देखो तो हमारा defense budget has been very weak. Even the present prime minister, the first 5 years of his, we had 4 defense ministers who really didn't understand the defense ministry at all. You had scant, who never had sufficient time for defense. वो 70% time spend करता था finance ministry में. Basic qualification was a lawyer and he was not interested in defense. Thereafter he went away. We had Parikar. Then Parikar went away. We had Sitaraman. I think the weakest defense minister the country's ever. And thereafter we once again had Arun Jaitley. It's only in the second innings that when the Chinese started making maneuvers, etc., that the government realized that the principal enemy of the country is not Pakistan but China. And China has gone so far ahead that we'll find it very difficult because China, since 1949, has considered United States of America as its principal adversary and have been preparing to take on the principal adversary, that is the Americans, at a future point of time. And they've been preparing for that. उनका डिफेंस बजट हमारे से 3 या 4 से 5 गुना ज्यादा है. डिक्लेयर डिफेंस बजट, अनडिक्लेयर्ड इज सेवरल टाइम्स लेटर. हमारा जो डिफेंस बजट है लास्ट 6 और 7 years का प्रेजेंट डिस्पेंसेशन का has been the weakest defense budget in terms of allocation after the 1950. But now the government is beginning to realize because defense deals जो उन्होंने साइन किए in the last 2 to 3 years actually tend amount to about 4 trillion rupees worth. And जो Make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat hai, it's a very critically important step that has been taken. A nation which is wanting to become a superpower and a power to reckon with in the Asia Pacific cannot be dependent on others for its wherewithal. In all the wars that we fought, we ran out of ammunition, we ran out of missiles, we ran out of spare parts in the matter of days. In fact, I would want to tell you that even for Galwan thing, we had to quickly send emergent teams to Israel to pick up certain, and Galwan didn't last very long. After the Kargil war, there were empowered committees of the Army, the Navy, and Air Force who were given a huge amount of money to get the spare parts that they wanted and to get the wherewithal. And our emphasis has been on very interesting in the focus when President Obama came to India, I had a continuous TV interviews सुबह 6 बजे से लेकर 12 बजे की हिंदुस्तान ने क्या मांगा और हमने क्या खोया और क्या पाया. The Prime Minister asked only for three things: cyber security, give us all that you can to cyber capability. When he first went and visited the Japanese, only thing that he asked the Japanese Prime Minister was cyber. When he met the Israeli Prime Minister, cyber. When he met Stephen Harper, he asked for cyber. When he met the British Prime Minister, cyber. Thing what he asked the Israeli, quantitatively, we are far inferior to China as far as the our numerical strength is concerned. So he said, I want to make sure that my Air Force can get the better of him. So we have inducted force multipliers, which can multiply the capability of your Air Force by an order of magnitude. और उससे चाइना घबरा रहे हैं. उसकी घबराहट साफ तौर पर नजर आ रही है कि they purchased 5 S-400 units from Russia primarily to put them on the southern coast of China, जहाँ पे अमेरिका principal enemy है, Japan principal enemy है, and other countries. But they moved 2 of them to on their side of the LAC in Ladakh because they scared of the capabilities of the Indian Air Force. Similarly, as far as Navy is concerned, Navy is being given force multipliers of the variety that is beginning to cause huge amount of worry to China. Numerically today, the Chinese Navy is the biggest in the world today. They've even gone past the Americans. Americans have got total 293 ships of various varieties, including the aircraft carriers. Chinese have also already got about 350. And Chinese are constructing aircraft carriers at such a rapid pace that in the next 10 years, they'll have almost 10 to 12 aircraft carriers. That notwithstanding, we have given our Navy the capability to completely control and dominate the entire sea coast, Indian Ocean region, from Straits of Malacca to the Horn of Africa, that is Somalia. उस तमाम area में, should the balloon go up in Ladakh, Chinese know that not a liter of or a cubic meter of gas will go through. They are an energy deficient nation. 80 to 85% of the energy comes from the Middle East. उसी worry को लेगा because Straits of Malacca में they can be butchered. Now the biggest threat that is now coming into being, where once again we are on the back foot, the drone threat. In fact, last 2.5 to 3 years, there have been 300 drones that have come from the Pakistani side into Indian time. They were initially
Absolutely. You know, General, this is what I wanted to cover in the third segment, a third and final segment, about how the nature of warfare has changed. And you spoke about unconventional warfare in your initial remarks. So, what are the new types of warfare that enemy countries are resorting to, and do we have an answer to it?
Very, very interesting question. Half of it I've already covered. Like I said, the future war is not going to be the conventional war of the type that we fought in 65, 62, 71, 91. It is going to be a net-centric war where artificial intelligence, cyber warfare, robotics, which like drones, etc., and UAVs will play a critically important role. And
Can we add
unfortunately,
biological warfare to that, General? Can we add biological warfare to that as well? Because we've seen traces of it too.
Chinese have got biological and NBC platoons as part and parcel of each of the battalions, which clearly indicate that they were wanting to use chemical warfare and biological warfare against us. But after the pandemic, where every finger is being pointed at China, I don't think they will dare use that at all. But we still cannot trust them. Similarly, the Chinese have been known to be training the Pakistani army in the use of chemical and biological warfare for the last 8 to 10 years. Indian army has been following this very, very, but suffice to say, there are certain secrets which every nation has, but suffice to say, if the enemy uses these, I assure you, and I want to assure the nation through you, that India is capable of paying them back in the same coin. If you recall, when Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister, and there was the Chemical Warfare Convention, he wanted India to be made the president, the chairperson of that. उस समय सबने कहा कि why should we allow you to become the chairman or chairperson? आपके पास तो chemical warfare capability है ही नहीं. So he showed a video there. He said was of Gwalior airport and he said जो Mirages जा रहे हैं इनके नीचे जो drop tanks लगे हैं they carry chemical warfare. Okay? And he that time disclosed to the world that India has chemical weapons of a fair amount. And he said we will destroy these अगर हमको chairperson बना दो. Yes, we destroyed possibly 5 to 10%. Nobody does anything beyond that. लेकिन problem जो है, we will react. I don't think we'll have the guts to use the NBC type of warfare, which is actually a weapon. These are weapons of deterrence. They are not weapons of war. But if you see in the Middle East, if you see in Syria, you see in Yemen, you see in Europe, Europe will be chemical weapons have been used, and biological weapons have also been used, but not to that extent. Biological weapons were used in the First World War. They were used in the Second World War, but they were not so dangerous at that point of time vis-a-vis the weapons that exist today. और इसमें हम काफी कमजोर हैं vis-a-vis the adversary, but we have the capability of giving him the taste of the pudding. जहां तक ड्रोन्स का ताल्लुक है, if you notice Armenia and Azerbaijan, Armenia lost the war primarily because Azerbaijan used their drones very, very effectively. Turkey has become a very major drone power, and Turkey flooded them with drones. And China has also become a major drone power. We are nowhere near. We are absolutely nowhere. And drones can, you see, there is a guarantee that the Pakistanis tomorrow, if they launch an attack, they will attack only Jammu airfield or they'll attack only Pakistan, Pathankot or Amritsar. They can carry out drone attacks through multiple drones, 5, 6, 10 drones at 100 different locations the same coast. Air Force assets, naval assets, army assets, corps headquarters, civilian assets, vital bridges, vital ammunition dumps and FOL. We had a lead time of 2 to 3 years. 2 से 3 साल हम देख रहे थे कि पाकिस्तान के ड्रोन आते हैं, अस्त्रा गिरा जाते हैं, वेपन्स गिरा जाते हैं, फेक करेंसी गिरा रहे हैं, ड्रग्स गिरा रहे हैं, because drugs generate money which is required to carry on the activities, stone pelting, etc. And you know, terrorists को जम्मू and कश्मीर में, it is money that makes a mayor run. उसके बावजूद भी we did do anything worthwhile. It's only that night 26, 27 June when for the first time an attack took place on a Jammu Air Base through a drone which was carrying IEDs, and the IEDs had RDX, an explosive that is not available in India, that we woke up. उसके बाद में there has been a high-level meeting chaired by the Prime Minister, which included the Defence Minister, the Home Minister, and Ajit Doval. And they have said, firstly, overall coordination responsibility will be that of the Air Force. And quickly, the Indian startups, the Indian industry, and the DRDO, etc., has been told to equip the nation as soon as possible. And in the interim, as an emergency measure, once again, we picked up certain amount of equipment, about which I will not like to talk because the government is not officially declared it, from Israel, to ensure that those areas which are critically important and which are in the show window, we have a deterrence capability. DRDO ने आपके लिए weapon system बनाया है, which is both soft kill and hard kill capability. Soft kill capability means the communication link between the operator and the drone can be jammed, and the drone can be made to crash or mislead, etc. Hard kill may through a laser. But when I heard that DRDO the other day, they saying they can produce only 4 to 5 systems in a month. With that rate of production, though they have transferred that technology to the civil industry, we got a huge line of actual control with China running over 3,700 kilometers and Pakistan almost 7,000 kilometers with thousands of assets that need to be protected. You have to deploy electro-optical devices all along the border. To be first, you go to detect and identify. अगर आप detect और identify नहीं कर सकोगे, because we may be also employing our own drones to go across, and you will not like to shoot your own thing. So you got to detect, identify, and then put in place systems which can deter him and destroy him. And इसमें as if I was a decision maker, I would make sure that if China or Pakistan tomorrow uses drones against us, I punish him as severely, if not by an order of magnitude. Unless and until you equip the nation with that capability, the enemy will always have an advantage. Because if you notice, despite what we said, कि once again we could carry out a surgical strike of the same variety, Balakot, अगर China, Pakistan does anything stupid. And even now, I am not too sure if we will not do something in the next couple of days. But उसके बावजूद भी almost on a daily basis, are coming from Pakistan. Drones entered Indian airspace in 5 different locations from Pakistan. And believe you me, Chinese drones are also entering into Indian territory or flying across the line of actual control where you can see almost on a daily or weekly basis. So this is a very, very major threat because they can completely disarm you. The air defense systems can be knocked out with this. Drones can also make you know आपके जो फॉरवर्ड एयर फील्ड्स हैं उनके ऊपर ड्रोन अटैक्स हो सकता है बाय अ स्वॉर्म ऑफ ड्रोन्स 8 10 20 50 चाइनीज कैन ब्रिंग इन swarms with hundreds of drones. उनके पास drones are today available in thousands. But as I said, कि India is not lacking the capability. If you remember, 15th January, Army Day, for the first time in the Army Day, India showed swarms of drones attacking certain targets. आपको याद होगा अगर आपने देखा था, there were 4 or 5 or 6 targets. They were attacked by a swarm of drones, thereby telling a very subtle message was sent across to Pakistan and China that don't take us lightly. We too have this capability. But the best part of India's defense today is concerned is that we have a strong and a decisive leadership. And there's a famous saying, an army of lions led by a sheep will lose to an army of sheep led by a lion. But today we have an army of lions led by a Babur lion. And I have no doubts on it. Political will is there. It has been seen by the world, and we've shown it not once, we've shown it twice, and we've even shown it to the Chinese. Never expected Indians to react in the manner that we reacted. Within 15 days, we were able to put 50,000 troops against them. उन्होंने जितने टैंक्स लगाए हमने उतने टैंक्स लगा दिए, जितने एपीसी बख्तरबंद गाड़ियां लगाई अपने लगा दी, जितने ट्रूप्स लगाए उतने लगा दिए. Despite the fact that we did not have the advantage of the infrastructure, they put in 77,000 kilometers of express highways across the border and 6,000 kilometers of rail line, including a rail line which is now going to come onto Arunachal border. So they have got huge advantage. They can move troops and logistics in a matter of hours, as opposed to weeks and months in our case. To move up in Arunachal today in a full weather condition, it will take Indian Army anything up to 7 days. तो उस समय आपके helicopters भी ना full weather काम नहीं करेंगे, aircraft भी नहीं, and it will take you 7 to 10 days. Whereas the enemy can bring in 24 to 48 hours up to 100,000 troops opposite you, and they have attained the capability of maintaining sustaining and logistically. The threat is very serious, and उसके बावजूद भी को डर है कि अगर वो हिंदुस्तान को अटैक करता है कहीं हार ना जाए. He went out to teach a lesson to Vietnam in 1979, learned a lesson instead. I said, are from the villages. They're physically tough, mentally, intellectually far more capable. Unka, thanks to that one-child norm, 90% of the men of the Chinese army are from the cities. अपने माँ बाप का अकेला अकेला बच्चा है. He does not want to die under any circumstances.
Absolutely.
And to that extent, I can assure you, Xi is fully aware of it. These are the vulnerabilities of the Chinese army. इसका overcome करने के लिए they wanted to bring in more and more and more technology intensive warfare.
Absolutely. Absolutely. General, we'll have to leave to that. Thank you so much for taking us through all those details and lightening us with all that information and speaking so frankly and from the heart as well. That has really been an eye opener for us all. And thank you for the assurance as well, letting us know that India is in very safe hands and the entire country is proud of our armed forces. And we know that we can sleep peacefully at night because men like you and others who have followed in your footsteps have ensured that they have kept our borders safe. A pleasure having you on the program, General. Thank you so very much.
I want to make a last statement. The Indian Army actually today is the guardian angel of India's homogeneity and integrity. And there is
Absolutely.
absolutely no doubt in anybody's mind. And what we've been able to do for the nation is something that has bewildered the nation. When the Uttarakhand floods came and the landslides, the Indian Armed Forces evacuated 100,000 people in 15 days. When the floods came in Kashmir and in the south, and when we had to lift our diaspora from Iraq, etc., and Syria, what we were able to is something that has bewildered and stunned the world.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, General. A pleasure having you on the program. Well, before I go, let me once again inform you about Bharata First Knowledge Center, an initiative that will help each one of you in your competitive exams and transform the way you learn. We have started international relations, Indian art and culture, and short courses, and they've had a phenomenal response. You too can be a part of this incredible journey. Go to our website, kc.bharatafirst.com, for more details and register now. Classes are on in full swing. The introductory offer ends on the 31st of July, so make full use of it. Since you're here, I would like to thank you once again for your continued support. For those of you who haven't already subscribed, please like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and then all notifications. Do subscribe to our newsletter to get some incisive content. The Bharata First team runs a daily big picture quiz. Please participate by going through the description in big picture videos. If you like our content, please contribute to keep it alive. The links are in the description. All this information, along with some must-see recommendations, are in the description of the video. Please go through it. That's it from me. See you again next time.